like how I showed you the common places for people to put proxies, and then I showed you my place a little bit off to the side. Send your Mothership Core there, because it's pretty safe to go there, and then run back home. But yeah, it's not, the thing that's hard about PvP is it's never like 100% knowledge, because he could always be like saving that pylon because he's saving 100 murals to put down a nexus on 2 gates or something, you know, like, you never know 100% for sure. But if you see no pylon, and you saw the fast, or see no third pylon and saw the fast double gas, don't assume it's Proxy Oracle, but you know it can be, so start looking harder for it and start mentally preparing for it, and maybe make like an extra stalker or keep a stalker in your mirror line. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm trying to think if I left anything out. To defend the thing I was talking about, where like you push with 3 gates and you send Proxy Oracle, it's not really that hard. You can waste a Photon Overcharge and you'll probably kill the Oracle and it'll only get like 1 kill or something stupid. Or you can just put 2 Stalkers in your main and leave the rest at your front, because if you have a Sentry, then you can just force field and you'll be safe. If you don't have a Sentry, then you can Time Warp. Oh, they did nerf Time Warp though, but still though, 100 energy, I mean, you can still Time Warp. You can Time Warp, and your 2 Zealots or 3 Zealots will be able to push back 3 or 4 Stalkers, at least for the time being, you know, to repel the first Oracle. Because just activating their attack mode costs 25 energy, so it's not like they can swoop right back in, you know, you have a good 30 or 60 seconds before they do another 2-pronged. You just have to split your units properly, and it's not that hard, like I said. Photon Overcharge or just 2 Stalkers. 2 types of Oracle proxy and Proxy Void we're all in. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna save the other stuff, the things that could get confused for each other a little bit later. So a DT rush or a DT expansion. The difference is they have some more gates in the rush, and they're probably warping in 3 DTs at once, you know, like going much more all in with it, because that's a big investment. And they're probably going to try and snipe your Stargate, Forge, Robo, whatever you have for detection, which can be really annoying. Or the DT expand, they'll just warp in 1 DT, or maybe 1 DT at a time and send 2 in. And meanwhile they're expanding because they only had like 2 gates. They're pretty safe, unless you were doing some like Stalker with Observer attack, you know, because if you 4 gate or you have 3 gate pressure or anything, 1 DT will hold it off. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, so they're safe. They can expand very quickly. So how do you scout this? Quick gas 100% of the time. The 2 gas on 15. There's no, like, they can't do this without it, because if they do, it's going to be really freaking late DTs, like 7.5 minutes or 8 minutes, something really late. But the biggest thing that you need to look for is a pylon. When someone is trying to 3-gate you, do 3-gate pressure or timing, or 4-gate you or whatever, right? Like, what do? You know, they make a quick Stalker and then a quick 3 Stalkers, or they make if it's a 4-gate, they make a quick Zealot and a quick Stalker, and they might even skip Mothership Core. But what they always do is they send the worker out, and they put the pylons up, and they protect the worker, like, everything's in a bunch, you know? Like, they don't, like, sneak the worker here and send their units there. I mean, unless they're doing something really advanced, where they put the pylon in, like, a really obscure place. But for the most part, they protect it, because that's, like, the linchpin of their strategy. They need that pylon, or else they're going to have to warp it home, and that's, like, a 40-second walk on almost any map, and that's, like, a big deal. Because the whole thing of a 4-gate or 3-gate timing is you have warp gate tech before your opponent. You get the second warp in against their first set of units, and you go. Because if it's like 5 Stalkers against 2, you're going to win every time. I mean, you know, they could pull workers and shit, whatever, but you're going to have an advantage every time. The difference with DT is they'll sneak a pylon. They won't have units out on the map. For the most part, DT builds, they can make a Stalker and can make a Mothership Core, or they can just make a Stalker. But a lot of the times they make a Zealot and then they make a Sentry. Because if you are 4-gating, then they need to have the force field, and before because you'd hit before the Dark Shrine is done with a 4-gate, proper 4-gate. So you need to have the Force Field, which buys them enough time to chrono boost out another Force or another Sentry for another Force Field, and then they'll have the Dark Shrine done. So my point is, they need these units at home, so they always try and sneak a pylon. If someone's sneaking a pylon, it's like 80 or 90% of the time for DTs. If you're like scouting with your Stalker, like in the places I told you, and you stay active with them, don't just like send them home and then camp, and you're scouting with your whatever, and you see him setting shit up, especially around like 5 or 6 minutes, because that's like about a minute or minute and a half before DTs come, that's like a big indicator that they're going DTs, because basically like I said, they have to keep their units at home. They have to have very few units because they had to invest in less gateways just in order to get the Dark Shrine and the Twilight Council, and that's expensive shit. You know, what, 150, 100, and 150, 150, so... Yeah, because they buffed the gas, but they nerfed the minerals. Because it used to be, what, 100, 250 or something was the Dark Shrine in Wings of Liberty? Anyway, yeah, that's like a big indicator. So if you like are like, oh, what's up, bitch? I just scouted your probe and your pylon. Get the fuck out of here, and they like cancel it or whatever. You get the probe, whatever. Don't just sit tight and be happy, because you need to make sure you have fucking detection at home, because or if you are very far, if it's like 7 minutes and you're very far away from detection, like not even a Stargate or Robo started, you probably need to hold position units on your ramp or 3 pylon wall it off, because you might not get it in time. And if they have a second pylon set up, maybe that they set up earlier in the game or something that you missed, then they could have 2 DTs on you or 3, and they could just like 3-shot your building robo, and then you lose the game instantly. Which happened to me the other day when I laddered. Do you remember when you were watching and I accidentally kept the overlay up for a game?
Yes.
Yes, that was when I died. I literally just quit the game at like 6 minutes because 3 DTs walked in and 3-shot my building robo, and I was like, fuck me. But yeah. Okay, so I know that's not much to go off of, but there's almost no other time they would be yeah, there, let's go ahead and say there is no other time they'd set up a proxy pylon without units out on the map. Hold on one second.
Are you going out for dinner or are you staying home?
I'm staying home. I'm probably going out like at 9, not for dinner. What are you doing? Hello.
Hey.
Okay, so does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you have any interjections or questions or anything?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, and I'm not 100% right. If you've experienced something different, you know, tell me you don't think it works that way or whatever, because, you know, even if I am right and you just say something for no reason or like say something incorrect, then it'll still be like a good discussion and a good like explanation or whatever. Or if I am wrong, then we'll have to correct it, you know, and we'll both learn. So that's awesome too. So yeah. 3-gate, you know, blink, 4-gate, anything. They'll be having units out with their worker to set up the pylon. Okay. And obviously, if you just hold it off and take no damage, like you kill the DTs before they kill any workers or any units like sentries or anything, then you're like ahead, and you need to see what they did. Because if they expanded, then you can maybe go do a timing, and make an extra observer and leave it at home or whatever, just in case you need to warp it at home for DTs. And if they didn't expand, then you can probably expand, but you need to be very wary of like a either blink all in follow up or a charge law archon follow up, or a single archon like just massive gateway units follow up or something. And if you do expand, you might not be able to hold the natural. I mean, you have to see it coming. You have to make a pylon wall off. What I like to do is I like to throw down a pylon in the front anyway, in front of my Nexus, in almost any matchup. And then that way I at least have it in case I need to, like an oh shit moment. I'll just warp in sentries, because they're light on minerals, heavy on gas, and then with the extra minerals, I'll throw down like 3 gateways or something in front of that pylon, but giving me space to stand in front of my Nexus. You know what I'm saying? Basically like a wall off versus Zerg.
Okay.
Because if their whole strategy is to get units like Zealots in there by breaking your force field with an Archon, but you have gateways either halfway done or finished, then they're just going to be attacking the gateways with melee units for a while. And Archons have such short range, it's like 3 range or something. They basically are melee units too, so you're just going to have Stalkers and Immortals and whatever you have wailing on them while they're trying to break down your gateways. Same thing applies to like an Ultralisk army, but that's more because Ultralisks are gigantic and stupid, and they'll never even attack your unit because they'll get stuck on the pylons. But yeah, like that's why you do stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, follow-ups can get iffy because there's a lot of things they can do, but we'll have to discuss that as it comes. Okay, so a blink all-in, or a blink timing, like a 3-gate blink, which practically isn't all-in, but sometimes they get a robo anyway, just in case you went DT, so they're not just straight dead. It's a lot like scouting a DT rush. They'll have the double gas, right? The 2 gas on 15. And they'll have possibly 1 gate, but you'll probably will see 2 in their base before you have to leave to scout from the first Stalker. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit, okay. Hold that for 1 second. There's something I forgot to mention that I was going to mention. Well, I sort of mentioned it, but yeah. No, I didn't sort of mention it. I mentioned it in my brain, and I forgot to actually say it out loud. Okay. When I was saying about keeping your worker in their base for as long as possible, another thing you want to do is when you do finally have to leave their base, not when a Stalker pops because it'll kill it, but like right before you think the Stalker is going to pop out, you got to leave. Keep it on their side of the map. And like, I'm teaching you to send your Mothership Core and your Stalker out to check all those like 50 bazillion places in the first like minute you have those units because it's safe to do that. To look for proxies, but also to look for a worker just staying on your side of the map, because it is a very smart thing to just keep working on their side of the map. If they hit you with 3 Stalkers, right, and you see them setting up a pylon and 3 Stalkers, as I was about to get into with the blink all-in, you don't know if that's blink, you don't know if that's 3-gate, you don't know if that's some weird-ass delayed 4-gate where they got 3 Stalkers quickly. Like, you don't know if that's my timing where, like, I do the 3-gate in the front and I have a proxy Oracle in your back, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to tell what it is, but one thing that makes it much easier is keeping a work on their side of the map, and 1, sending it into their natural and seeing if they have a natural, and 2, sending it straight into their main. Because let's be honest, if they're playing perfectly, like if they're doing what they want to be doing, they won't warp in, or won't even be ready to warp in, until they have a proxy pylon up somewhere on the map, and they'll warp in there. So they'll never even have units at home to stop you from scouting their main. You know what I'm saying? So let me throw something. So keeping your worker, so after you scout them and like they just chrono boosted their Stalker, or like their Cybernetics Core finished, you counted 10 or 20 seconds, kept scouting, and then left, like assuming they're making a Stalker. It's not smart to go in their natural because a lot of people check their naturals, but not everyone checks these outer bases that I told you to check. So if you go in a place like this, or this, on this side, this place is a lot of like high grounds and low ground, like little corners. So if you go on like a high ground like this, up that ramp, I'm drawing with yellow, I don't know why, I hope you can see it. A little area like this, maybe a little area like this. Any little corners or places that jet out are good places. If you leave your worker there, and then 3 Stalkers show up on your side of the map, you get a free scout, because those Stalkers got on your side of the map past your worker without finding or killing your worker. You know what I'm saying? By free scout? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can just send it right in and see what they're doing. If you see a, you know, a freaking Twilight Council, and you like 3-gate expanded or 2-gate expanded, you need to fucking go back up into your main and start force-footing the ramp, or get a robo and start chrono boosting the shit out of Immortals or something, because you're not going to be able to hold the natural against Blink Stalkers with similar production to you. So yeah, just little things like that. Like, that's like a gigantic thing that gets you an edge. Like, that is probably the main thing that, I mean, you know, there's a million things you have to work on. I'm not saying like this is the most important thing right now, but for me, when I first ever got into Masters and like was struggling to maintain it, like this was the biggest thing in PvP, was keeping a worker on the map, because it really does give you that sure information. All right, anyway, sorry I forgot to mention that.
It's okay.
Back to Blink. Same as DTs, they'll have 2 gases up quickly, 2 gases on 15 before their cybernetic score, and they'll have 1 or 2 gates. More likely 2, but it's possible only 1.